Hi, welcome to my PlayHouse, and today I want to talk to you some more about VMware and virtualization of your data center. And if there's a dog in the picture, it's because if he's not in the picture he gets upset and he's barking at me, and I'm taking care of my brother's dog. So yeah, I think I might have to
Bloody about time that I get to entertain the crowds. Hello, YouTubers. Two Liverpool fans walk into a bar. Looks kind of upset. One of them is carrying a midget. The bartender sees them and says, "Hey, you guys, we don't say they're kind." Then the midget says, "Sorry, sir, couldn't you make an exception? They just lost another game."
Well, maybe you can go down on the floor now.
Hey, wait a minute. My 15 minutes of fame has not up. Put me back up on the stage. Put me back up on the
Funny
stage.
sounds he makes. Virtualization. If you don't have a big or small or new company like this, do you need virtualization at all? And the answer can be yes, it can be no. If you want to play with a lot of servers, virtualization would be a great way to go. If you want to play with more of these systems up here on home basis, if you're a student or if you just like to nerd around with servers at home, like I do, virtualization is a great way to be able to play with a lot of stuff on not that much hardware. All of these systems that we are seeing here can be installed on their own server, so that would be a lot of servers. If you only want one server or a couple of servers, it would be a great idea to consolidate all those systems down to one server. At the same time, when you virtualize a system like let's just take print. When you've made a print server and it's on a virtual environment, that print server can very easily and very rapidly and without very much work be moved to another virtual server running the same version or a newer version of, for example, VMware ESXi 6.0 or 5.5, something like that. And that way, if you have like a print server on a virtual server and that virtual server suddenly goes, it's very easy to take this print server that is on your SAN over here, file server, and just open it up on another VMware server. So let's try and make that. I'm gonna get rid of all these systems. So I've removed all the nodes on the on the server, and I'm just gonna pick a server, and we're just gonna take something in the middle of the screen, something like in the middle of here. That's a server, and it's a lovely IBM/Lenovo, and it's an X3650, and it's a Model 1. And I'm picking this server because that's a server that costs around or starts around $100. Most people can afford a server like that if they want to get into IT. You might have to use another $100 to get it up on a good level where you can have some fun out of it, but it's an affordable server and you can have a lot of VMs running on a server like this. We're going to be picking that server and I'm going to be installing VMware on it. So I have a piece of tape here. Now we're going to stick VMware on this server. Yep. So now we have a VMware server, and VMware is free. You can download the Forever Edition, and there is limited what you can do of fancy stuff, but it will run a lot of servers, and it will run the two processors in this server and as much RAM as you can throw at it. This server is able to take 48 gigabytes of RAM. No problem for the free edition of VMware. No problem whatsoever. And the virtual machines on the server is able to use 8 virtual calls. And that's perfect for this server. It's not able to do more than 8 virtual calls. So We are stretching the limits here, guys. But as I said, it's a great server and you can get some good processors for this server and it can work really fast. So we need to install, what do we want to install on our VMware server? Well, you might want a real server on there, a Microsoft server 2012. That would be a great thing to put on there. When you install servers, virtual servers on your VMware host, every server gets its own IP number, it gets its own BIOS, it can access disk space. It's just like having a physical server, just without the hardware, right? We will start by installing 2012 on there. We have installed that. That was great. You might have something that, well, 2003. You might have something that needs a 2003 server to work, play around with, just have for kicks. This could be the 32-bit edition, it could be an enterprise version, it could be standard version. VMware, don't give a shit. The server has a 64-bit processor and it can handle both 32-bit and 64-bit. If we want to try something really old, any one of you remember this? DOS, one of the latest versions, one of the best versions of the DOS before we moved on further into the future. 6.22 was a good version of DOS. I wouldn't have an idea why you want to try this, but I have tried it on a VMware server. It uses all the processor that you give it, so be careful about it. You don't have to find some old hardware to put a DOS on, do you? No, you can just put it on a virtual machine and it will run just fine. You might want to try something else. Well, after DOS came Windows 95. I actually had a problem last week where I needed a Windows 95 server. That's not a server, it's a client system, but a Windows 95 client. It was a print server. It's like that's a box. The problem was that the new, where is it? Windows 10 and also Windows 8.1, they're no longer compatible with the old printing standard LPT 12345 whatever. And the LPT port can no longer be used in Windows 10 and 8. To use an old matrix printer, the ones that go with a lot of needles on a Windows 8.1, that print server had to be put in between to make a translation from IP and over to LPT 1234 whatever. That box was so old that it ran some old Java thing, you know, Java, the little thing that's always messing up all your stuff. That old thing wasn't able to run on anything newer than Windows 95. So we had to find a Windows 95. I installed a virtual Windows 95 on a good server and connected to this print box through Netscape. That's old. Netscape 4.01 I think it was called. So you could install a Windows 95. And the Windows 10 that we just talked about runs fine. And I have read the comments. I got a lot of comments on different virtualization systems that I should really try. And I was recommended Proximox. I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but I was recommended that and I looked into it. And I found that I do a lot of Windows servers and clients, and that one was not able to do that. But it was really good at Linux systems. If you only need Linux, that would be a great option. It's free. VMware is also free, but this Proximox was able to do some of the stuff that you actually have to pay money for. But only it could run Windows, I was told, but it was dodgy and you had to do ninja tricks and stuff like that. So I want something that runs right out of the box. So, but VMware runs a lot of Linuxes. I don't know if it runs them all. I don't know how many there are, but it definitely runs a lot of. All of these systems can easily be run on a server like that, and you don't even have to have 48 gigabytes of RAM to do that. I'll bet I could do this on 10 gigabytes of RAM, maybe even 8. If I shut them down, 6 gigabytes of RAM. That's not expensive, so that's why virtualization is so good. You can buy one server and you can try out all of these systems. You just need some disk space. And these old servers, the model that we are playing with here, that actually is able to take regular SATA hard drives up to 2 terabytes. If you haven't seen that, I've done a video where I take 6 SATA hard drives on 2 terabytes and put in a server like that. That's a server, $200 server, and 12 terabytes of data storage on it. That's pretty good. Let's go into the computer and do a little bit of virtualization. Try and install a new system on a server like this. I moved into the computer and I was just looking on eBay to see if there was any good offers on these IBM X3650 servers, and well, I didn't find anything fantastic. This was kind of the best thing I found, and this one is for sale in Germany in the German version of eBay. Probably only those of you who speak German visit that one, but this one I could pick up for 179 euros. Then it says that they want some more for shipping to Denmark, so it would probably be kind of expensive. And it is not the best server. Let's see the specs down here. It comes with an L5420. That's a low power 2.5 gigahertz quad core. So it's not a bad processor, not at all. It comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM and no hard drives. I would need to put some more money into that one. Then I went to the local shopping thing. Every country had their own local shopping thing, and this is a server that's for sale here in Denmark. It's the same model right there. It's 900 kroners, and that's about 130 euros, $150 I guess. And this one has a slower processor. It's only a 2 gigahertz, but it has 14 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. That is not true, because the server is using DDR2 RAM, so the 3 is wrong, but 14 gigabytes is pretty good. And it comes with 6 disks, SAS drives, 10K, so that's cool. It has networks, and it says that it has redundant power supplies, and it's right now running ESXi 5.5. So here is some guy that has actually been using this server for running VMware, and now it's for sale. So you can get into this market and get a really good server for running your VMware for not that much money. When you want to run your VMware, you have to go to VMware. I showed this in the last video. Go to VMware, download the latest version of VMware WebSphere Hypervisor, and that's right now this one, 6.0, update number 1. And you download this ISO file right over here. To do that, you have to be logged in. You have to create an account and you log in. You then get to download this, and a little bit further up here there's a license key. I'm not gonna show you mine, but you'll get your own, and it's totally free. Another thing you need is a program called Rufus. If you install on a server like this and it has a management adapter installed, you won't need that. But if you want to make a USB stick, like this one I'm holding in my hand right here, you will have to use Rufus. And it's a little freeware program that you can download. Here is the web link you can go to, and I want to download the Rufus 2.4 portable version, so I'm gonna get that, and we're gonna save it right there. Cool. And it's already downloaded. That was quick. So let's go see that. Here it is. What happens? Do you want to run? Sure. Checking for updates. Nope. And here it is. I already have ESXi 6.0 installed on this USB stick, but it's an older version. Drop that in. Oh. And Rufus finds it immediately. And as you can see, this is a 520 megabytes USB stick, and it has a ESXi 6.0, and it's a version kind of like this, 2015 standard something. Cool. Let's put on a newer version. So we'll go pick up an ISO file, there. And I have the latest VMware right there. So I'm selecting that and open. And we'll just press start. That's probably good. Check. Yeah, Orpheus wanna install some kind of file. You have to press yes. All data device, this will be deleted. Is that okay? That's okay. That's great. And that installs. It takes just a little bit. I'll shut up and fast forward this. Okay, it has completed. It has installed our bootable version of ESXi onto a USB stick. So now I could go and put this in the server out there and install ESXi 6.0. I'm not gonna do that because I've done that so many times, but I'm gonna show you where you can go find that. So let's go to my. Here is my channel, and if you go to videos, and up here there's a little looking search icon, and you just press ESXi 6.0. Let's see what we get. Here it is, IBM Lenovo X3650 Model 1, which is the server that we are actually playing with too here. Running ESXi 6.0, amazing! And I made this video 6 months ago, so I installed it in this video, so there's really no reason to do that again. Just do the search and you get the video where I do that. Okay, I moved ahead and I have installed a brand new VMware ESXi 6.0 on a server that I have. So I'm just gonna go in here and show you. Here is my VMware host. And the only thing I really configure is the network settings. I have been in here and I've configured the IP version 4 to be a static number and to be this IP number. And I have been in disabling IP version 6. Which is done by selecting this one, and then it has to reboot. But, well, let's go out again. Out. And down here at the bottom, we have the IP number. I'm using the range 192.168.1. and so forth. For this host, I've selected 240. So, when this is my first server, I want to go and communicate with that. And to do that, we open a browser. I just type in that IP number right there, and we get one of these because it's not blah 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 unsafe, and we go to here and we get this thing up where we can download the client to go in and control our VMware. The one you have to download is this dude and install that. I've already installed that, so let's open it. Looks like this one. It's not normal to have the server on like this. Normally you would have a different monitor if this is a small system, but these servers has remote management, so I'm able to show you the server screen like this. If this was a build it yourself server or something else, you would have to go see the IP number on the server itself, but when you got the IP number, you don't really need this anymore. So we're just gonna close that or minimize it, and we're gonna go in here. This is the VMware WebSphere client, and this is where you can control your VMware environment or your single VMware host. And our single VMware host is called 240. The default username is root, and I am using my own secret password. And we log on this server for the first time, and it complains. It's telling us that this server has some kind of certificate that it has not. You have to approve this, so I usually press this one and ignore, and then it will open magically. Here we are, and this is brand new. Your evaluation license will expire in 60 days. Got it. Now we have a new VMware host. So what can we use that for? We can just click around here. You can see we have 8 CPUs or 8 cores. So we actually have 16. So this one has hyperthreading. Cool. There's 12 gigabytes of RAM, using about 1.5 gigabytes for the system itself, which is that's a lot. But it's not using the processor very much. But we want some virtual machines on this. So we're gonna be installing a new virtual machine on this server. So new virtual machine. I'm just gonna go with typical, and we're gonna give it some kind of a name. We're just gonna call it. I'm gonna install an XP machine. XP 64-bit. Cool. Next. We're gonna put it on the data store. This is a local hard drive that is in the server, and we're gonna install it as a Windows and a Windows XP 64-bit down here. Next, we're gonna go with the recommended network card because Windows XP actually has drivers for that one. And we're gonna go with 8 gigabytes of disk space, and we're gonna select thin provisioning, which means that all 8 gigabytes will not be reserved right away. So if Windows XP is only using 2 gigabytes, the last 6 gigabytes can be used by another system. Next, we're just gonna select finish for that. We need to find our XP image file. I have a Windows XP image right here, and I have downloaded it from another server, and I have to upload it to the data store on this new server. So we go back and we go over here to the data store, and we right click and browse data store, and there is not much there. So I'm gonna create a folder and call it, I always call it install installation programs. Okay, and I go in there, try to go in there, and I'm gonna upload a file to this data store, and it's gonna be there, my XP image. Open, and it's uploading right here outside of the screen. So this is just gonna take it seems to only take a little bit. Okay, it's done. Now, if I was just installing Windows XP, I might as well just install it directly on the server, but, well, I'm not just installing XP, because I also want to install, let's just say that we want to install, we also want to install an Ubuntu desktop. This is an old one. The date is cheating because I just moved it today, but let's also get that one. So that's gonna be put in the same place, this window in frame here, and that's gonna go to the data store as well. But in here we can start working on our XP machine. Let's do some edit settings here. 256 megabytes of RAM. I think we can do a bit better than that. 1 gig. We are very generous today. 2 CPUs or virtual CPUs. And I'm gonna remove the floppy drive. I'll never use that. Okay. And we're just gonna go in there again and go into the CD-ROM drive and tell it to use the data store ISO file. And we go to the data store, and there is our files. We can select this one, select OK, and we have to up here tell it that it should connect to that while on boot up, and click OK. So now we have a shell for a server here. There's nothing installed here. We can see over here that it's only taking up 1.46 kilobytes of storage. So we're gonna, this one, launch virtual machine console. This makes me see what the virtual machines are doing on my system. I'm just gonna shut the data store down here, and I can press turn on the server, and the server should turn on, or
this is a client machine, and it found my Windows installation. Very nice. So it's gonna be installing that. So let's go on to our Ubuntu. I have to check that version of Ubuntu because that was that one, 12.4. Cool. And we'll just install that and I agree, F8, and use that data store and that system check, install. And let's create another one, new virtual machine, typical, next, Ubuntu. I have no idea. I'm not a Linux dude, but I'm guessing we can try this. And we can put it on the same data store, and it's a Linux, and let's just say 64 bits. Check. Next, and it recommends this driver. Okay, we'll try that. And virtual disk space, 16 gigabytes of disk space. I'll use thin provisioning. And next, and we'll just press finish, and it pops up over here. And the bloody dog is going wild. We'll go into edit settings here, and I'll again remove the floppy drive, don't need that. And we will tell it where the Ubuntu image is located. Let's write in here, and Ubuntu, and OK. And connect at power on, and OK. So now we have kind of two servers. This one is still installing, it's doing well. So let's open a console for this one too. So now we have, this one is just cluttering up. This one we don't need right now. So we have a Windows XP here, and we'll just open our Ubuntu installation here. I have never installed an Ubuntu system in my life. So, well, it'll just be next probably, hopefully. Ooh, 12.04, wouldn't you know? So already we are playing with two systems on our virtual machine. Already the Ubuntu is complaining about something, or doing something, loading stuff. Okay, let's get this back. They're doing well. We can go in and see how they're performing, or how the system is performing. It's kind of a mess to figure out just to start with, but this is what the different processors are doing in the system, and there's like a lot of those. So, but they're doing well. Virtual machines, they're a bit stressed out right now. They're installing both of them using all the RAM, but they will settle down when they're getting installed. Okay, the Ubuntu thing here is telling me to do some selections. I'll check Danish. Nah, let's check English and install Ubuntu. It's gonna be interesting to see how hard this is. Okay, at least 4.5 GB of available disk space and connected to an internet. Download updates. Well, let's try that. Install third part. We don't. Yeah, whatever. Continue. And over here, Windows XP is doing well. Let's see who they think we are. English. I'm gonna go with Danish. Okay. Location. I'm just gonna do that too. Cool. Apply. Okay, and the rest is normally good. Type in a name. I'm Morten. Organization. OHTC. Organized high-tech crime. Cool. Product key. Holy crap, I didn't think this through. Nah, I'm not gonna be bothering with putting in a product key. The Ubuntu is installing, kind of. Do you want to erase disk? Continue. Install now, whatever. But we could just go ahead and try another one and do one more virtual machine. Let's keep the typical ones. Let's do a server 2008. I don't know what I have laying around, but let's say it's an R2 standard. Next. And it's gonna be put on the same data store. Yes. Next. 2008. Yes, that's a good one. And it's recommending that network card. Yes. 40 gigabytes. Ah, that's a lot, right? Okay, but we're just gonna be using thin provisioning, so okay. And that's good. So now we have a 2003 empty shell for a server over here, so we can. Oh, what did I press? Oh, that's good. We're gonna remove the floppy drive right away. Don't need that. 4 gigabytes of RAM. I'm gonna go with at least 2 CPUs again. Let's be generous. 4 CPUs. There. And we're gonna go to the CD-ROM drive right there and ISO. And I haven't uploaded that yet, so I have to do that. So cancel that and okay. Okay, close and okay. To get my server 2008 up and running, I'll have to go into the data store again and down here to my image files, and I'll have to upload an image file from my machine. Luckily, I do have them laying around here somewhere. There is my server 2008 images. Which one is the newest? I guess this one looks like to be the newest one. So we're gonna open that, and that will be copying over to my data store, and I'll be able to install that server on here too. So already I'm playing with 3 different machine types on one piece of hardware. And if we go over here to the host itself, we can see different aspects. How is it doing? Right now the Windows XP machine it's not using as much RAM anymore. The Ubuntu is still pretty stressed out. They always are when you boot them up. They're always using all of their resources, and when they're not doing anything, they settle down again. So you can really run a lot of machines. Oh, that's spooky. I found out where I am. Oh, I told it, didn't I? Copenhagen, that's close enough. I wonder if my city is now. Continue. So we need to put in a name. It's not about Ubuntu, so we're not gonna do that. And this one is going in fine, so that's perfect. We can see some statistics here. We can see how the server is doing, how the voltage is, how much power it's using, what temperatures. It's only okay, so it doesn't say how much it is. We have a lot of information here. We have some networking. Here's the switch. This is the network connection out of the VMware environment, and that goes to my 1 gigabit switch. I can choose, every one of these machines will have its own IP number, and if I'm outside on my client machine here, I can go to those IP numbers on these machines as if they were directly on my physical switch. Internally in the VMware host, these machines are communicating on a 10 gigabit switched network. If I do not select the network card that only runs 1 gigabit, but instead selects one of the switches, for example the Ubuntu server, that one is able to do 10 gigabits internally in the host system itself. You still have to have the licenses for all the software that you install in here. Ubuntu is of course free. Windows XP, probably everybody has Windows XPs laying around. They're not really used anymore, and if you don't, I'll guess that you can buy a bunch of licenses for next to nothing. Server 2008 is still very expensive, 2012 as well. What if you want to play with the new server 2016? It's available in a beta release. In this way, I would only have to download the ISO file for that, and I could be playing with that in 10 minutes.
So I have my VMware server up and running. I didn't actually use this one. I went ahead and used the Blade server down here because I had to reinstall that anyway, planning other videos. But right now I have like 3 servers running on a single disk like this, on a single Blade server. It's like one of these. It's a small blade server, but it's in the blade center, so it becomes very big. Virtualization is great, even if you only have to play around with it for a little bit. You can also do this on your desktop. If you have a normal, powerful computer, run VMware as a VMware Workstation Edition, and you can boot up multiple servers on your machine itself. The option of making it into a dedicated server like this is just then you only have to have one machine on all the time. If this is to be going into production, or if you want to actually be hosting something, one of these machines are great for that. The blade center thing down here that I choose, the processor was a little bit more powerful. It had hyperthreading. Actually, it wasn't more powerful, it just had hyperthreading. So it was actually slower than the one up here. Now that I think of it, the ones up here, I have 3 gigahertz, and the one we ended up using was a 2.4 gigahertz processor. The amount of RAM is the same, kind of. Actually, it's a bit less in the blade center, but never mind. I was running 3 systems, I could have been installing 10. No problem. Thank you for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me in the... Well, sometimes he's here, but... Well, right now he's ignoring me. Any last remarks?